Hello everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniature. Today we're going to look at the last, at least for the time being, part of the Cult of the Pale One brought to us by the Dragon Trappers Lodge. So, in case you haven't seen any of the other videos I've had talking about the Cult of the Pale One, we have a bunch of reptiles and amphibians that are worshipping some kind of cosmic entity that is causing all kinds of fun stuff to happen for them, because why not, right? Not as bad as we have the out-and-out, openly chaotic, demon-like fiends of Incandriox. These are some of the corrupted Dragonborn that we've seen with the Children of the Flame army from the Lodge, as well, as they continue to put out very interesting and wargaming compatible armies that really are kind of out there and unique, which is obviously something that I'm going to be taking a closer look at. So we've had the Lizard Men, we've had the Dire Brutes to go along with them, and finally we're going to see the remaining faction of infantry units, and those are going to be the Cult Fanatics. Now, you can see there, I did not notice that I did not get all of the supports on his face there, but we've got some very anglerfish, very Warcraft-looking gentlemen, of which, as is always the case, have a variety of weapons available to them. Now, what's nice about these guys is there's also a feral, more kind of clawed-up version if you want to have even less civilized fishmen lurking on your tabletop in a variety of poses. And I gotta say, even though I've been kind of going with a major albino theme, obviously being part of the Pale One's cult, you can see some of the vestiges of said worship of those cosmic out-and-out entities happening with our Swamp Fiend right here. One of the other new things that we have available are the Farspawn, which I am desperately hiding from me. Multi-tentacled, multi-eyeballed little friends, for lack of a better term, to hang out with us on the table. I feel like we've had similar things in the past, but I don't think of anything specifically like this. And the neat thing is, considering how many years we've had the Lodge putting out interesting releases, there's a lot of stuff that I think can cross-pollinate, even if it's not necessarily in this faction at this point. I'm sure you can get plenty of counts as mileage from some of the other releases they've done previously if you go digging around in their back catalog. Now, why would I bring them up? Because we've got the Arbiter of the Pale One. I do not have a printed version of it yet, but it is a big, massive monster with a little tiny guy attached to it. But one of the other figures that I really wanted to focus on today was the what was he called? Fargazer. I'm like, okay. You can see him way down there, and again, I do need to fix up some of those support removals there on his teeth, and I really enjoyed this model. It reminded me a lot of the Desecrator that was part of the Fiends lineup, in that we get a really nice, interesting use of vertical space for such a tiny model, and that's something I've always really enjoyed, and I do tend to like to keep those and print those and paint those. Obviously, my speed is not the best. Similar idea here with one of these druids from the Children of the Primordials, another dinosaur-themed faction that the Dragon Trappers Lodge has put out. And again, that's kind of the cool thing, is they've really been putting out some interesting factions. All this stuff has got rules for it available, and if you don't like the rules that they've got, I'm sure you can probably fudge something up yourself that fits in there. But I really do like when we have that nice vertical usage of not necessarily a tall model, but a model nevertheless that, it's kind of going beyond its location, and not necessarily in a bad way. Again, another of the primordial dinosaur people here hanging out. Really that usage of space above the model. Something I've really enjoyed. Usually I see this a lot with stuff like Raging Heroes, but it is kind of cool to see the Dragon Trappers Lodge kind of expanding out and doing more with that. So even though we have a diminutive little angler guy here, you can see kind of one of those star spawn, far spawn type things kind of pulling out of the portal. Neat idea. It is a little tiny lopsided. I don't know if I want to do something. I might put something base-wise underneath this and then weigh it down. It is a 32 millimeter, while the regular Colt guys are going to be on 25 millimeters. The Feral ones, I think, are on 32s as well. I can't be 100% sure on that. But one of the other neat things about this guy is, much like everything else from the Lodge, all the heroes end up having some sort of mounted option. I don't think I've printed any of the mounted troop choices, but we've had giant dire toads. We've had giant, off the top of my head, turtles. Dire turtles were another one. Piranha dogs. We've had, I know this guy in particular has a Plod Trotter available. And a Plod Trotter is a way, way far back callback from the launch with its big multi-legged mollusk snail thing. So if you want to have one of those rolling around, that's an option too. Also, I've noticed at the time this guy came out was also when they were doing some more frozen Arctic adventure type stuff. And if you've ever been interested in our little ice elemental friends that I love to show off, that's where this guy was originally released when they hung out with the Sabertooth people, but he had a bit of a rerun recently. So if you haven't had a chance, obviously take a look at those. And I've mentioned, one of the cool things about this stuff that comes out from the Dragon Trappers Lodge, I tend to do this at the end of the month because it's like I'm gearing up for the next month. And I don't know about you guys, if you haven't seen it, February starts the Heralds of the Apocalypse faction, which is going to be a bunch of angelic and not so angelic things to float out on the tabletop. And again, that real nice use of verticality in the models, and I can absolutely guarantee it. We'll be showing some of those off. I do have a soft spot for interesting looking angelic beings that sometimes I get painted and sometimes I don't. So hopefully it will fall more in the section of the former than the latter. And I was going to say, just because I have it handy, these far spawn are going to go great with the star spawn. So if you need any sort of big multi-tentacle creatures, seriously, keep your eyes peeled because we'll have plenty of those on this channel as well. So with that said, this has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.